Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, I didn't hope not to cover this story for too much longer, but we do have a little bit of a development in the toddler who fell off that cruise ship. So as you all know, back last year we had a toddler who was with her grandfather and her parents, and there's some debate over whether the safety of the window on the cruise ship being open is the cause of the accident, or whether he should not have lifted the child up and she fell. And so we have two different types of charges. We have one charge against the grandfather for involuntary manslaughter. We have the charges against the cruise line for failure to have safety precautions and being the direct cause of the accident. Now, the grandfather was charged after the investigation by the police in San Juan. They're the ones who laid charges, not the cruise line. The cruise line isn't suing the family or anything, but it has been, the family had pleaded not guilty and is going to court. Well, we now have a new development. First off, the grandfather, the day before, changed in the court from being a jury trial. He declined a jury trial, a trial by his peers, if you will, to a judge-only trial. A lot of people were wondering why they would do that, and some people were feeling that perhaps that the emotion and having to visualize what happened through all those videotapes and talking about it would be hard for a jury to overcome possible prejudice or foolishness, that perceived foolishness of the grandfather for lifting the child up to begin with. And so they thought they would have a better chance with a one-on-one judge. Now that made sense. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. And then we come out today and the father has lawyers, the grandfather's lawyers have filed a petition to change their plea from not guilty to guilty. And the lawyer has come out and explained why he would do this, as there was no jail time involved, and the father would be able to carry out his sentence in his hometown, his home city. He wouldn't have to move or be out away from the rest of his family. And there is also no admission of facts by pleading, changing his plea to guilty. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, then this, what do you mean by no admission of facts? So there's a difference between admitting to the facts of being guilty because the facts, you're saying, yes, these facts are true and that's why I am guilty, than saying I'm guilty to take a guilty plea. So people are now, some lawyers have come out and said that the reason they're doing this and taking that because there's no admission of facts is that possibly the lawyer for the grandfather and the family, when it goes to trial for the lawsuit against Royal Caribbean, they can try and have this not brought up in court, saying that it was an admission of guilt, but it's not an admission of facts, so therefore it should not have any consequences to this hearing. And of course, the lawyers for Royal Caribbean are going to defend that, no, he is admitting guilt in this, so he does have some consequence, and therefore that evidence should be brought into court. As you can see, once again, it's just a whole mess, and it's just going to be a lot of legalese and a lot of discussions, but a lot of people were very concerned and thinking that the family had suffered enough and that the grandfather should not go to jail over this. He has to live with this no matter what the cause and the reason behind it. And at least we know now that if this plea is accepted, it hasn't gone to court yet, it hasn't been pleaded in front of the judge to change his plea, but if this is accepted, it looks like the grandfather will no longer have, face any jail time, and that the family can finally move on from this tragedy. And maybe, who knows, maybe down the road they may consider just dropping the lawsuit altogether and just getting on with their lives in, after this tragedy is over with, which is honestly the way I felt they should have done this months ago, because the longer this looms, the longer it's in the news, the longer it's a story, the longer it lives in your brain, and you never get over it. I had a personal death in the family that was, well, not family, it was a friend of mine, very, very close friend, who passed away, and it was unexpected, and it was self-induced, and you live with that for months and months and months and months until you finally can put it aside. And so I'm hoping that's what this family can do. Put it aside now, maybe even consider dropping that lawsuit. Maybe even think that, because if you lose that lawsuit, that's thousands and thousands of dollars in legal fees on top of this tragedy. It just seems to compound everything. Well, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think this is going to change that lawsuit against Royal Caribbean because he's now pleaded guilty? Or do you think the lawyers may successfully argue that this should not even be brought up in the next court case? Let me know what you think down below. I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel blogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation. And sorry I'm squinting. It's very bright here on the cruise ship.